Oh, you just drink it.
But then the water disappears, actually, when it disappears.
What a fascinating use of water elementals everywhere.
I actually quite like that.
They might just evaporate in the desert.
You're thirsty. Here, have water elemental.
Why don't you some water then some earth elemental to squeeze the water out of it?
You nickname your water elemental Sponge, do you?
Sponge,
Poor guy.
Okay, Sean, we go. How are we getting there? The ship or not?
Yes, effectively the situation would be that you would take a journey to Eleni, the town of Eleni. That would take you about a week. From Eleni, you will hand your letter in to the family I mentioned earlier on, who will immediately give you passage on their boat. The boat is run by a father and son team. It's a small vessel, fishing vessel, main mast, backup couple of oars. You're not asked to do any work on board. There is enough room below decks to put up swing hammocks. It is cramped conditions. They carry a fairly sizable cargo that is water, some crates, hard rations, backup food stocks, some strange things like bolts of cloth and silks and writing equipment. Well, I suppose that may go without saying. And then you set off for Desolation. Now,
Sean,
yeah.
can we get any info about the monks themselves from the family?
The family, below Skerent Dune, there is a jetty that they moor the vessel on, and they put the stock out onto the jetty itself. While they're getting stock off, normally a few of the lower monks will come down the stairs to greet them. There is normally a monetary exchange of some kind. Sometimes it's in goods in lieu of payment, so sometimes the monks will give books, manuscripts, bolts of cloth that they've worked on. They're very valuable items for the equipment. It's a profitable deal, hence the reason they go out.
Can we buy some books, normal books, just nothing, kind of things that are sort of normal, but books basically kind of maybe on self-improvement, on exercise, on
potential techniques.
Certainly. Or here,
okay.
please. What sort of cost would that be?
I'd say probably 100 gold pieces a tome.
Okay. So basically, say if we buy about 5, do people think about that? Yeah, that's not bad, right? Okay. Yeah, buy about 5.
The journey from Elani to this island of Desolation is going to take about 3 weeks.
Okay.
We need more than those 5 books.
It's not so much that it's a straight journey. There are a couple of stop-off points, smaller, almost tiny pinnacle islands that the boat will stop off, resupply at, a little bit of water, stop back up, use a couple of days to fresh fish, stuff like that. Although they've got equipment and stuff on board, they tend not to break into it if they can help it. However, the one advantage this time around is obviously you can assist with your skills.
Does anybody want to do something in that time, in the 3 weeks that we've got on board? Practice anything, do anything? Because it's basically now is a bit of good downtime if you want to do something.
Well, when they decide they're going to take up the oars, even though we've not been asked to, I'm going to sit the oars as well.
Certainly you can use this opportunity to work with them. I'm not going to dwell too much on the passage of time. Needless to say, yes.
You said 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Is that 3 5-day weeks or 3 7-day weeks?
3 7-day weeks.
Oh.
Could you give us
how many days did it take us to get
5 to get to Elani? You would have left on that day that you've arrived. The boat had been stocked ready for a journey, but had obviously been quarantined like most of the vessels have, because as rightly surmised by yourself, potential threat. Boats are no threat to the enemy. Sitting ducks is probably a good analogy.
John,
could you give everybody a refresher of time period where they are?
Yeah, hang on a second.
I might have a birthday for him, so might be all of 18. 19.
I was going to say, Sean, another place in Nation, you decide to spend the time with the crew and work alongside the crew.
Yeah.
What was it?
Wow.
Well, spending 3 weeks with them, the one thing that you would have is I will allow you, obviously, if you decide you want to put any skill points in at your next level towards sailing or boating or something along that area, I'm happy for you to do that. I'll count it as a normal.
It means you're probably
count it as a normal skill, not a cross-class skill.
If
you decide something that interests you.
So as what, profession or craft?
I would say as a profession.
I'm a sergeant major. You're quite right. You're a sergeant, and you're a sergeant as well. I'm a sergeant major.
So as sailing, or
you have your own special title.
Zelator. Zelator.
Yeah, Zelator.
Yeah, that's
Primary
Boating,
element.
by the
sailing.
Castle of
Or
Grace.
boat
if you prefer sailing.
Boat
Millions doing my bidding.
Okay,
Okay, basically it's now 3 months since we started.
3 months.
Just over 3 months since we started.
Alright, okay, maybe I won't have a birthday.
It's a fair passage of time when you think of what we've achieved. It's not bad.
Yep.
In terms of time period in the year, what would you estimate it to be? What would you say you are? Spring, summer, autumn?
When did we start? It was the beginning of summer, wasn't it?
Yes.
When we started. So it's now late, coming towards the end of summer now.
What you notice is that, I mean, you're still, temperature-wise, you're talking probably mid to high 70s most days. It is the twilight of the summer season, as you set out. There's no doubt whatsoever that the conditions that these people sail under as they are beyond the first week is pretty treacherous. You really need to know the waters. Clearly they are experts at what they do. The smaller crafts are ideal for this. Bigger crafts would certainly struggle. You'd have to have magical means to travel further out, and how many people have magical means to transport large numbers? Not many. So it gets increasingly more difficult. But after the 3-week journey, you see yourselves looking finally at the shoreline of what is Desolation. You can see they've clearly navigated towards a point, and at first what it looks like is a chain, an island chain, massive cliffs that loom out ahead of you, and just visible to the naked eye at the top of this range. It must be about 1,600 feet up in the air from the cliffs, sheer cliff face that faces out into the water. You can just make out the ramparts of some collection of dry walled buildings along the very, very top of it, along the spine of well, mountains is probably not the right word, but certainly good-sized foothills initially. They obviously protect the inner part to the island, and it spans out as far as the eye can see this cliff edge. However, the jetty you can see is very beautifully made. Stone effect, made out of the natural stone, runs out above the waterline. Probably clearly at night time it must, obviously as the tides change, it must be covered over. But there is also, snaking away from the jetty up into the cliffs itself, there is these stone steps, again beautifully cut out at extreme angles, cut away like a zigzag right the way to the very top. Now as the boat comes into view and eventually after about an hour moors up, at the base, greeting them, is 4 disciples of, as you've been told, I suppose the best word is the Master of Dragons, is pure title. However, 4 disciples of him. Each of the 4 disciples is dressed in a white robe. The robe hood is of course down. There is a sash on it, which is a white sash. They are all human. They immediately get to work taking off the goods. They say nothing.
Can I have that evil?
Yeah, they don't radiate either. They begin to help the goods come on. They pay there is no words exchanged between the sailor, his son, and them. It just seems to be, there's no pleasantries, which may seem odd. What do you do while this is all going on?
We help.
The goods are loaded off, takes about an hour or so.
Okay.
The monks hand some items across from a bag. Clearly the bag must be a bag of holding. There is a beautiful book that comes out, it's handed to the father. There's a bolt of cloth that's pulled out of there. And then there are a few sheathed weapons. They're small, but very intricate. A couple of rapiers, a couple of short swords. All again, beautifully worked from what you can see of them. They're handed over. The leather is, again, beautifully gilded. It's very well worked. Beautiful work.
We would have stayed on the dock at that
For the looking very quickly at the stuff that's handed over and the equipment that's given, although there are a multitude of barrels, mostly it is water, hard provisions, meagre stocks. At best, they may re-equipping writing equipment and a few bolts of cloth to work with, and maybe some needle and thread. But the reality is, to the goods that are given over, it seems like they're being...
raw material, basically.
Yeah, it does seem that they're being done, but they don't seem to have any fuss about it. They're grateful to be supplied. At which point, there is a shake of the hands between the father and one of the acolytes, who wishes you all well. Him and his son raise their sails once more and begin to pull away from the jetty, leaving you behind with the 4 acolytes.
We wave.
The son waves back. His little face, about 12 years old, glistens, smiles. He's disappearing off out of view.
That's what I do at Dead Evil and find out they're all lawful evil.
The acolytes themselves don't say anything, don't shake hands. They begin to scale the steps. They're very severe.
Do they basically are they carrying anything, or are they leaving it all down there?
Initially, They're taking one item each. Now, with the amount of stuff that's there, it would probably take them 3 or 4 journeys to go up and down. But obviously, you've got yourselves as well. If you wish to help.
We'll pick up. In
Each of
that
you
case, we will
Each of
pick
you
up
can
an
grab
item.
something. I'm not going to ask you to make rolls to scamper up the stairs. I mean, if you're careful, take your time. It's going to take 20 minutes of hard work to work your way up to a point where you can actually rest, put the barrel down, and think, "Oh Christ, I've still got about 600 feet to go."
And watch them scampering up.
But they are.
Yeah, on the way back down again.
But they are scampering around. There's no doubt about.